Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Heavy Metal Muscle. So, next time you're going to take a break from the gym, should you watch that new movie, Dune? All right, so I'm going to give a review of Dune. Now, before we get into the actual review, I just want to let you know my background of why I'm super excited about Dune. I felt we need to take a little break from bodybuilding to go watch a movie. Yes, it's an action movie, a sci-fi movie that gets you inspired to go to the gym too. At least these kind of movies do. Especially like remember 300 when that came out. I remember that pretty much I wanted to go to the gym right after and go, "This is Sparta." But so I digress. Um, for Dune, when I was little, before I had a CD drive, video games I used to play were on floppy drives on my PC, like the 4-inch size, and you should take at least four that you put in to install your video game. And then I think pretty much the first one I got that was in CD was Dune. And that was like the single speed CD-ROM days and less than a megabyte of RAM. Good old times. And it was the partial 3D where you had to click into the next room, and sometimes it'd be a kind of a 3D animation, very pixelated. But I really got into the story. Played it all the time in about grade four, maybe in grade four. Yeah, I think it was like 1991, 1992 is when the game came out, somewhere in that time period. But I really got hooked on this game. And then my dad is a teacher at the elementary school, and we were at the high school for something. Well, I was with him, and I was looking around the library, and then I discovered Dune as a book. And then I read it and got hooked on it ever since. So it's been something like 25 years since I first read it to now. And when I heard Denis Villeneuve was going to do it, I was super excited, especially when he also said that he's been a fan since he was a kid and it's his lifelong dream to do it. And I got Dune vibes from Arrival and Blade Runner 2049, especially that long establishing shots of the environment that you don't really see other directors do too much. Like I used to see that back with Ridley Scott's Alien 1, and I'm not sure the director was, but 2001 Space Odyssey did that so much, maybe too much, that movie. But I felt like Dune would benefit from that, especially seeing the environments. And I think environmental storytelling does better with these long establishing shots instead of these 1 second cuts. That's very common in movies today. And then I saw the cast list and I got even more excited. So I had to take a break from the gym and go see this movie Dune. And I was not disappointed. Though be warned that it's part one of two. So it's really the first half. And even before I saw the movie, I thought where in the book I would imagine it ending, and I was dead on. But still, it feels abrupt, like, oh, it stopped. And if you know the source material and read the books, I think you're excited all the way through. But if you don't, I would say probably action feels like it's slowing down the last third and then kind of starts to build up and then stops, that kind of feeling. So maybe the pacing for somebody who hasn't read the source material might feel slow at the end. But if you have, then you're probably like me, you're just glued to the screen, super excited for every frame that's happening. And you're like, oh, this is going to happen. Is this going to happen? Oh, that's how they did that. That's what it was like for me. So it feels like you're just a kid yet. Well, pretty much am still a kid, still having fun. So I would recommend it. I would give it a 10 out of 10. However, the caveat is it's needs part two. For Dune part two to be made, it relies on the success of part one, not just in the box office, but I was reading a lot about HBO Max. Warner Brothers and HBO are teaming up for the Dune franchise or intellectual property. They wanted to be like a Game of Thrones for them. And already I think they announced that Bene Gesserit, like a prequel series that takes place before the movie Dune. And if it does well enough in HBO Max, this Dune Part 1, then we're going to get a Dune Part 2. It's pretty much all but confirmed. But yeah, it needs that Part 2. And it's probably going to be minimum, I would be guessing 2024 at the earliest. So that's the one thing to be aware of before going to see it. And yes, the book, if you read the book, it is an intense book to read. It's kind of like Lord of the Rings where there's appendices on the end, there's a dictionary, maps. It's an intense book. Books like that are hard to translate to movie. And I was amazed how good Peter Jackson did with Lord of the Rings. And I'm equally as impressed with Denis Villeneuve. But imagine if you split up Fellowship of the Ring, the first Lord of the Rings movie or book, into two halves. And that's kind of the situation we're at. So right when Act 2 is starting, oh, that's the end. So something to keep in mind. But one thing I think Denis did amazingly well with doing the movie was a lot of show, not telling you. And in the book, a lot of times things will happen and you would find out after the fact and to explain it. And that doesn't really translate for a movie very well. And so in the movie, they showed a lot of those scenes, and so you got to see it happen. For example, the book starts at the on Caladan, the water planet, where the main house or family that the story centered around is House Atreides, with the father of Duke Leto and the wife or concubine Lady Jessica, and then the son Paul Atreides. That's the main characters of the story, and it starts there. And Paul's trial by a Reverend Mother, who is Jessica's teacher, whereas the movie starts with explaining this planet Arrakis, where the Fremen call it Dune, and their struggles with the bad guys, the Harkonnens. And so you got to see some of that before you go to Caladan. So you get a lot more sense of the universe and what's going on. And there's a lot of showing the action and showing the other worlds. However, you don't, well, I won't get into spoilers. So let's go over some of the things spoiler free here at first. I thought it was really neat that Paul had confusing dreams. They weren't dreams that always happened exactly as he saw them. They changed and made it seem like he wasn't all knowing going through this journey. He was fallible. And that is a good way to do about a character who's kind of like a messiah type of character. You want him to be perfect from the get go. He has to struggle. And I also like the casting of Timothy, as he fits more the book, where he's scrawny for his age, he's not supposed to be this strong, big, muscular guy in the book. And so a lot of people don't think he's as good a fighter as he is, this kind of stuff. And so I thought he was brilliantly cast. Casting was amazing. Just saying that up front. Everybody did a good job. Another character I thought was really good early on is Gurney Halleck, and that was played by Josh Brolin. I think he did better than Patrick Stewart's 1984 in that you felt the stakes of what they were doing. And just so you know, before Dune happens, Gurney was a slave on the Harkonnen planet Giedi Prime, and they killed his sister. And he escaped to the Atreides. And this is all before Dune. This is just in the books. But in Dune, the movie, when you first meet him, you get that sense if he understands the gravity of the situation of them being sent to Arrakis, and that we shouldn't trust the Harkonnens. He really gets that feeling across very well, and also gives a little bit of levity because he's super serious. Like if you watch the trailer, Duke Leto's like, "Smile, Gurney's like, I am smiling." Like he just nailed it. The Bene Gesserit, and Jessica's one of them. They are a sisterhood that's kind of controlling the genetic bloodlines of the universe under this behind the scenes with their own schemings and plots. They actually are probably the most powerful force in the universe, the sisterhood. And Jessica is one of them. And she was supposed to have a daughter, but she has a son. So the story really starts with her teacher coming to inspect her son to see if he is this chosen one, the Kwisatz Haderach. It goes through this test with this box of pain. You've probably seen the trailer for that, or if you haven't, definitely go check it out, because that's how the movie pretty much starts with the scene. It's a really well done scene. It sets really the mood. Like I always tell people, if you're getting into Dune, just read the first chapter. It's like your teaser trailer. You find out about the Kwisatz Haderach, find out about like humans in pain, and the kind of setting of the universe, kind of dark style of Dune, and how it's plans within plans kind of style, kind of like Game of Thrones, where every chapter and segment's about centering around different characters and a lot about their mental states, as opposed to just pure action or technology, even, which is kind of unique about Dune. It's not about pure sci-fi. It's about philosophy, biology, not so much technology, because in Dune, there is no computers or robots anymore. We've had the battle with the machines long ago, and now there's 11th commandment that thou shalt not make a machine with the likeness of the human mind. I think they did a great job in the movie of showing the Bene Gesserit as these mysterious witches. It wasn't cringy like 1984 with shaved heads and yeah, I'm not going to go to the 1984 version. And by the way, this is not a remake of the 1984. This is another version of the adaptation of the book Dune. So both the 1984, the Sci-Fi channels that I think it was the year 2000 came out with a miniseries, and now they're all based on the same book. They're not based on each other. The way they did the Bene Gesserit, I thought was more believable and intriguing. A lot of mystery around them, and really cool. The other school, so these schools, there's the Bene Gesserit I mentioned. They kind of came from after the robots and computers have been gone. Now there's the Bene Gesserit with genetics and bloodlines and biology. You got the Guild, which are do travel and space, and you got the Mentats, which is about computation and logic. The Guild, I thought they were really cool in the movie. and they had helmets with masks, and some even had like tubes, which is interesting because like there's the guild navigators who, with the spice geriatric spice melange, this substance that's only found in this desert planet Arrakis, also known as Dune, they use it to be able to they get like webbed hands and they deform, but it allows their brain to be able to calculate how to fold space. We didn't see any guild navigators, but definitely the guild had like masks and some tubes in them, and so you kind of wondered if there was hinting about some of them being in the orange spice gas. And don't worry, this is very the beginning that you're seeing this in the guild, and even the trailers show it, so it's not like this isn't spoiler yet. This is only the very beginning. I'm just trying to talk about some of the beginning and the setup here, so you're kind of getting a review, but also if you're not familiar with the story, you're getting a little bit of the background. They did a great job with that. Mentats, they didn't really go into it a lot, but nor did they need to. Like the thing about Dune is such a complex book, has so many details that it'd be hard to adapt and get everything in. So I think Denis did a great job of picking and choosing. And yes, he did alter some things of the book, but on reflection, I had to think about it after watching it, and even while watching, I was really analyzing it. But I think that he did a good job of like instead of having something happening all at once, kind of spreads it around to multiple characters, so you get more time to get the emotional investment for each character, what happens with each character. So I think he did a good job of picking and choosing what's most important to be able to have most emotional payoff and most attachment to each character, and the most understanding, that streamlining the story to make it understandable as opposed to overwhelming you with so many details if you're not familiar with the source material. Let's take a step back to the planet called Arrakis, where the natives, the Fremen, call it Dune. It was once not always a desert planet. Pardo Kynes found these salt pans and discovered it was once water on the planet. And so he believes that we can transform it back and have plants. And in the book, his son, Liet Kynes, who is the imperial biologist, the representative of the Imperium at Dune for the biology of the planet, where this one's played now by a female character. She did a great job. And on this planet, there's this worms, and they've terraformed the planet to become an all desert planet. And there's this substance that looks and smells like cinnamon that expands consciousness. You become addicted to it. Your eyes go blue within blue. There's no whites anymore. All these things happen. And these sandworms that are the spices created within their life cycle, they can get up to 400 plus meters long. They're huge. And some like the 2000 movie, and I kind of think with the 1984, they look a little bit like weird phallic things sometimes, and it doesn't really look kind of good. It looks like a huge phallic shaped object kind of flopping around. Or in this movie, I thought they did a great job of having it kind of underneath the sand, where the dune's moving underneath this, trembling, and then you just like fall through the sand into a huge mouth. Really cool style. And the teeth, I thought they did a great job. And by the way, the teeth of these worms become knives for the Fremen. They call them Chris knives. And these Chris knives, if you unsheath it, you have to draw blood as part of they have like a religion around the worms, and the worms they call Shai Halud. Yeah, as I said, there's lots of details. I just get into it because I've read the book so many times in my life, and I don't mean to overwhelm you. So I could really see the challenge of how to decide what details to and what to not show in your movie. And I think Denny did a great job of that. I think that's pretty much my spoiler-free review. I think it was a very unique experience to see in theaters, and I think henceforth a lot of science fiction films are going to try to get the style of Dune, because there hasn't been this kind of sense of scale, something this big, at least in a theater experience I've seen of sci-fi. So yeah, definitely worth going to see in theaters. 10 out of 10, go see it. So thank you very much for watching. Help support the channel by using my affiliate code for Redcon1, and be sure to like this video and stay tuned, because my next video I'm going to try some strongman. Right on. I'll check you next time on Heavy Metal Muscle.